I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay.
No. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Right.
Fucking thing sucks.
In 5, 4, 3.
Anyone claiming that America's economy is in decline is peddling fiction.
I've abandoned free market principles to save the free market system.
But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
Raising the debt ceilings does not increase our debt. It does not somehow promote profligacy.
I know words. I have the best words. Nobody knows the system better than me, which is why I alone can fix it.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Peddling Fiction Podcast Market Review. Sunset Market Review. I don't know what I'm going to call this. Market commentary. I changed the background by popular demand. I didn't move my whole setup, but the way this room is arranged, I have a desk over there. But people are like, oh, how do you why are we just looking at the back of your wall or something, or the ceiling, when you got this ocean view? Well, here it is. And part of the reason is because the lighting is just going to be retarded. I'm already getting distracted because if I don't have these lights on, I'm backlit, which looks ridiculous. Can't do it while the sun's out because I'll be backlit again. You won't be able to see me. It'll just be a shadow. And now you can see I'm just going to prove myself right. And this is probably the last time we do this. It's a great view. And we had a very nice sunset. But now you can see in the reflections of the glass, there's the lights, the overhead lights are reflecting in that. And if I turn those off, I think it'll look retarded. So anyway, don't get used to the view. But maybe if you guys prefer this, I guess I can keep doing it. I'm not going to do every podcast. I'm not going to keep. I'll do the market commentary once a week or something like that. Maybe twice a week, maybe a Monday and a Friday, I guess. But yeah, if I do the podcast, then I'm moving my shit back and forth 4 times a week. I don't want to do that. Plus, well, I'm not going to have this view for in January. Remember, I moved for another few months. So enjoy it, I guess, while you last. But what a week in the markets, huh? Who could have seen this coming? If only somebody put out a couple of hours. How many hours was it? I guess I did 2 hours worth, but it was in 2 separate things. If only somebody told you what was going to happen 4 days before it did, exactly what was going to happen. So if you guys have been paying attention, I will be taking a victory lap here because I not only told you what the market was going to do 3/4 days before it did it. I told you why it was going to do it. I gave you the reasoning behind what we were going to see in the technical analysis and what the technical analysis was telling me. And I think the only market we've been watching that hasn't quite hit our target yet is Bitcoin. But we'll dive into the charts. I think you'll see that I still think it's heading to where I said it was going. And then we'll go through what happened over the last couple of days. I'll show you guys a few things. I'll try to keep it short and sweet. I mean, we're going to lose this view here behind me. It's going to get pretty dark quickly. So, yeah, it's about 25 minutes after the sun officially set. I had this set up during the sunset, and I was just kind of looking at what it would look like if I sat here during the sunset, and it just it's just not going to work. I can't make the lighting work, and it looked ridiculous. So anyway, let's get into it. And because I only brought the laptop over, I didn't bring over my second monitor because I really didn't want to do a whole fucking thing. I got to do everything on one screen here. So hopefully, yeah, you guys can see that. I changed it to the vertical thing. Somebody told me that might be a better way of looking at this. So again, let me know. I am retarded when it comes to all of this, so I don't mind some constructive criticism. The one thing I am not retarded when it comes to, though, are these markets. So these are the NASDAQ futures here. This is the chart that we were mostly working off of. NASDAQ and the S&P 500 basically trade very similar. So this orange area here, and I think, I'm having trouble remembering because I did 2 recordings on the last episode because the first one didn't have sound. I don't know if I told you why I colored this one orange in the original recording, or if I did it in the second one. I can't remember. So when I draw these zones, let's just go over what these zones are real quick. They are inefficiencies in price delivery. Okay. So here we have several of them over the last couple of days. Well, actually, no, we don't. We just have this one here. And then we have this is like a volume imbalance here where these 2 wicks are. But when it's a green bar, it's a 3 candle formation, right? You got this top candle here, you got the middle candle and the bottom candle. And in between those, from this point, from Monday, November 24th to Wednesday, November 26th, during this middle candle, there's an inefficiency in sell side delivery of price. It's all green. All right, so we got this gap here. This is what the zone looks like. It's called a fair value gap for those of you that want to get technical. And if it's a green candle like this, it's a buy side imbalance, a sell side inefficiency, a BISI. Okay. These are the terms of the great Inner Circle trader. All right. All credit to him, even though he doesn't really want the props. I didn't come up with any of this. I'm not trying to take credit for it. I'm just trying to pay it forward, I guess. If you want to learn this directly from the GOAT, you can YouTube Inner Circle Trader. He's got everything out there for free. His video, if you think my videos are long, his are really fucking long. So if you think I ramble, be prepared for him. So I'm going to try to just distill things down because I don't think a lot of people care about actually trading these markets. I think maybe they just kind of want to learn how to read these charts. So when it's green like this, I'm expecting the zone to support price and send it higher. All right. Obviously, red would be the opposite. Okay. And if it's orange, I'm expecting price to invert it. So this would be red. And normally we would not normally, but in some situations, we would expect price to come up here, revisit this imbalance like it did right here, right? It already acted as a SIBI, a sell side imbalance, buy side inefficiency. So there's no green in here, right? From this candle to this candle, it was all red. All right, and came back in, dipped in here, and then ran for those lows. That's another reason why you shouldn't have been very surprised. Like, you shouldn't have expected this rally to last on last Thursday because we hadn't, like I said, we hadn't taken out these 2 lows down here. And we had this SIBI that was it just kissed it and started to run. That's when you know it's going to make a very fast move to either another inefficiency or some other crucial level in the market, like a previous day low, or maybe a monthly low or something like, or yeah, some other inefficiency in price. Okay. I'm anticipating this to act as an inversion gap, meaning and today's candle, if you notice, closed above the midpoint, almost closed in the gap completely, left a little bit of space there with the wick, but we closed above the midpoint. Now that is a bullish sign. If we were bearish on where the market was going, we wouldn't want to see this candle come up past the midpoint. Ideally, it would just do something like it did back last Monday, where it just kind of dipped into it and immediately rejected. The higher up it goes into these gaps, the less confident you are that they're going to support price. So if you want to put a grade on this, which we should, because it's a big zone. I know it probably doesn't look that big on the chart here, but it is, you know, 795 to 852. That's a substantial enough gap that we should be grading it. All right, so we're going to break it down in the quarters, and we'll zoom in on this to see how price was behaving along at each one of these quadrants, right? But the fact that today, not only did we definitively took out both of those highs that we were targeting way back when the market was down here. I told you exactly what was going to happen and why it was going to happen. The fact that we made it past the midpoint and closed above it is further validation. Now, again, this is not all guaranteed. This is just an indication that the market wants to go higher. We do have some relative equal highs here. Remember, we every time you see a relative equal high like this with the one in front of it slightly lower than the one to the left of it, your eyes should be drawn to it, and you might want to target it. We have some more over here. This one slightly higher than that one. So we got these relative equal highs here. That's looking like a pretty decent target to me going forward. Now we want to see these, but once we get past this midpoint, and trading has started again. Okay, so we can zoom in on this a little bit. Let me make this bigger. I think you guys can go full screen though while you watch this, right? So we're above the midpoint. Trading has resumed. Remember, these are futures. So Asia's starting now, and then we'll have London, and then New York will open in the morning. But now that we're above the midpoint, we want to see it stay up here. Ideally, we'd like to see this midpoint act as support. If not, we'd like to see this lower quadrant. It could trade down here, but we always want to see that these quadrants support price. You want to see like a nice reaction off of it. I'll show you what that can look like. But this is what again, the narrative that we're working with. And that's why I colored it orange. Again, I colored it orange 4 days before we even got there, right? So I'm not doing any of this in hindsight. I'm not cherry picking these levels or anything like that. This is eventually what your eyes will be drawn to when you watch price like this for years and years and years, hopefully. Believe me, if I can do it, anybody can. There's nothing special about me. And I'm going to get it wrong from time to time, but this ain't one of those times. Okay. But look what happened, right? We were down here. We had just run those lows. This is where the market was. We were around 65.24, like right at the lows. Remember, I said Asia had just opened and ran those lows. If you haven't watched the other video, you can go back and watch that. But it's not like the market even hesitated. We just went straight there. Boom, 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 boom. We actually took out this lower high yesterday, just nicked it while we were doing the podcast. I mean, look at this. You're telling me this is a coincidence? Right there, we took out that high, and if I go into the time, if we drill down, this is right towards the end of the day. Just comes up, kisses it, and then pulls back. And then we took out this other one, this other high today. It closed above the midpoint. The market's looking very, very strong right now. Now, of course, the market, the week of trading is basically over because of the holidays. So I'm not anticipating a lot more for the week. I think we're about done. If I had to guess, we'll just chop around in this area here for the rest of the week. We close early tomorrow for Thanksgiving. I think it's 1 o'clock close, and then I think it closes early on Friday. I don't think I'm going to be trading. I'm going to try not to trade anything, because when you have holidays like that, low volume, the price action is not nearly as clean. It gets a little wonky. A lot of these things that you depend on when you have solid price action will give you a lot of head fakes and chop you up and stuff like that. So we're done for the week. I did trade this all the way up. So I had a pretty good week of trading, which is, again, why I wanted to start doing like this. Helps me as well. I really need to be doing this. I need to be sitting in front of the charts, going over things, coming up with a bias, a daily bias for trade setups. Would you, if you weren't confident that the market was ultimately heading here, you might be looking for shorts. I mean, you could have had a nice short on Friday in the afternoon, probably. But if you were trying to short this, there were very few opportunities, and they would have been really short, like maybe quick little retracements or something. But look how strong these moves are. It just goes straight to it. Boom, 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 boom. There was almost no doubt that we weren't going any higher. This right here, we wanted to see if we were bearish, if we were thinking the market was going to go back down. We wanted this green candle to support price. Now we traded up to it here and then pulled back. So that, usually you want to look at the bodies of these candles to kind of support price. So ideally you wouldn't even, the wicks, like I said, the wicks can always do a lot of damage to you. The bodies will tell you the story. Now the body closed below it here. The wick traded through it. And then look where the next body opened up, though. It opened up above the midpoint of the body of this candle, and in the upper half of this wick here. And we should, every time you see these long wicks, you should grade them the same way I graded these zones, and watch how price respects those quadrant levels. We can do that. Let's see how that trade. Like when I was going long on, was that Friday? Yeah. When I was going long Friday, I was using these levels, and I caught a couple nice trades. Probably just one nice trade. I can't remember. I usually just, if I catch one nice trade, I'm done. All right. So grading this wick here. Again, I don't want to put too much lipstick on the chart, but we can go through those individually kind of quickly. But again, this is like, maybe you think I just got lucky, perhaps. If you remember what was being said on this day, on Thursday, November 20th, when we had this huge reversal, everyone was saying, what the fuck is going on? And there was all this talk about maybe the Japan, the yen carry trade was blowing up. I don't think that had anything to do with it. I mean, that trade is unwinding, but it's not a new thing. It's not a sudden thing. It's like, yeah, there was some news about Japan stimulus, I think, and so the interest rates are like going up over there. So that's going to blow up the yen carry trade. But that's been in play for a year now, for over a year. So I don't think you're going to see a lot of, unless something like really crazy happens in the currency markets, I don't think you're going to see big moves like this because of the yen carry trade unwinding, because Now I think everybody knows it's unwinding, so it's a little more orderly, if that makes sense. But the currency markets are going a little nuts right now. I don't really have time to go through those charts. I don't really. I look at them, but I don't trade currencies. But they are sort of forward looking in terms of geopolitical risk, and there's some action there, so that could be telling you something. But I think you can use gold for that as well. But anyway, if you haven't already gone back and listened to the explanation as to what happened here, it had nothing to do with the yen carry trade. This has to do with how these algorithms book price, and the fact that this shit is like, if this wasn't fucking rigged, how did I know I didn't know with certainty, but I had very strong conviction that this is what was going to happen. And if that shouldn't make you angry, it shouldn't freak you out. It should be comforting to know that once you know the game is rigged and how it's rigged, you'll see these signatures in price and be able, they can't hide it from you. They're going to tip their hand, and then you can be on the ride up here. You can ride along with that. I mean, that was a monster of a move. It's a monster of a move in this market. And we're right back to where we were, 2 weeks ago? In 4 days. So, let's see how this views. Sorry, I can't see the camera. Yeah, see now it looks ridiculous. So yeah, don't get used. I don't think this is worth me changing my entire setup so that you can see the sky for 15 minutes or something, if that. But anyway, all right, sorry, back to the charts. I'm getting distracted. So, yeah, I mean, I don't even really know what else to say, except I can tell you where I think price is headed now based on what we've seen so far. It would not be unreasonable to see let me get some of this out here, to see a retracement at this point. We just had a really nice move up. Like I said, I think over the next 2 days or so, my instinct is that it's just going to chop around in here. There's not going to be a lot of activity. But you know, who knows? Donald Trump and the fucking weekend, anything can pop off. You never really know. So, again, you want to grade these moves from swing high to swing low. So here's where we're at. Again, here's the midpoint, and we do have these inefficiencies in price here. So even if you're bullish, you could see a retracement like the market does. It goes from a discount to a premium to a discount, right? So anything below the midpoint of this range would be at a discount. Anything above it would be at a premium. And it's just like buying and selling anything else. You don't want to buy at a premium and sell at a discount. You want to buy at a discount and sell at a premium. So that can kind of, when you grade these ranges like that, that can kind of help you. Here, let's draw this in here. This is when you have a gap like this where there's no candle bodies, that is what we call a volume imbalance, and that will be in purple. So the market will be drawn to these levels. We're not going to get rid of these. We're going to keep these. Here's another one right here. Okay. And look at this. Look at how price hit. Look at the top of this wick here. The high was 6,677.75, and the low of this one was 674.50. Okay, it came back and perfectly balanced off this price range. It's an immediate rebalancing, touched the top of this wick, and then took off. That's another sort of a signature that you'll see with these algorithms. They come all the way back down to the top of a wick and immediately reverse. You can expect another prolonged move higher. All right. So here's another volume imbalance here. It's a smaller one. Let's see if I drew that in right. Not quite. Not quite. All right, there's that. This one's a little short. And dude, by the way, you do want to be, if you are planning on eventually trading these things, you really do want to make sure you draw things in correctly. I had which wick was it? It was definitely on this market. It was probably, it was in here. Yeah, it was in here. I was off by like a cunt hair when I was drawing in my quadrants in this zone. And I had a wonderful trade, like almost right out of the gates this morning. And it stopped one tick below my target and immediately reversed. One tick. And I was very upset, to say the least, because there's nothing better than catching a painless trade first thing in the morning and then you just go back to bed, right? And I'm like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, why the fuck did it stop one tick below that level? And I'm like, I was like, did I draw it in right? And of course I zoomed in and I was one tick off. And when I fixed it, it would have, now I don't know if it actually would have filled my limit order because it literally just kissed that level perfectly. And sometimes you don't get filled because the bid ask, the spread doesn't allow for it. But yeah, that kind of did send me on tilt a little bit. I ended up basically break even. Oh no, I was up a little bit on the day, but that made for a difficult morning for me emotionally. That sort of stuff is tough for me to handle. That's one of my weaknesses as a trader, is controlling my emotions. So anyway, you want to make sure you do draw these in correctly. Now for just general analysis, like just kind of where the market, that's not as important. But if you're going to be trading it, if you're going to be depending on these levels, sometimes a tick can matter. And it's usually, well, it'll be with your stop and it'll be with your target. It's not your entry. A tick here, a tick there is not gonna kill you. But yeah, sometimes you get stopped out by a tick and then it runs without you. And sometimes it comes within a tick of your target and reverses on you. And that's just part of the game. You got to learn how to deal with it. I'm still not great, I'll be honest, with dealing with that. It gets very frustrating. It seems to happen to me a lot. So I got to get better. That's the only thing you can do here. But so a retracement here is not unreasonable. Anyway, sort of back to what we were talking about. I wouldn't, you don't want to, for me to remain long-term bullish, I wouldn't want to see it come past the midpoint. I mean, again, this stuff is very simple. And if you like, one of the things, it's simple, but it's very difficult to get good at. It takes time, right? But if you notice this huge run up here, I told you exactly what was going to happen. I didn't use any of these. I mean, look at all these indicators they got. I mean, this is but like, if you look at all these technical indicators here, I didn't use any of these. I didn't use any volume indicators. I didn't use any moving averages, no MACD, nothing. No RSI, overbought, oversold on the RSI, no oscillators, no stochastic measure, no nothing. But we got all these things, and people love to dress up their charts. And for me, my eyes just glaze over when I see that. Bollinger Bands, I didn't use any of this stuff. If you're using that and it's working for you, okay, fine. I think it's just coincidence, personally. I didn't need any of that to tell you what the market was going to do. I think if you can learn how to look at price like this and read price action like this and be able to develop the narratives around price action that will make sense, I don't think you need any of that stuff. Volume profile, all that shit. How did I do that without that? How did I know as soon as it ran this low, that they were going to take it higher and they were going to take it right here. You don't need any of that stuff. But like I said, if that's working for you, fine. But I like to simplify things. All right. So if we do get a retracement, we want to see it, basically stop right around this midpoint, or it could come all the way back down here, revisit this imbalance, this volume imbalance, and then I would expect it to go higher. Okay. Right here, we have one of these. Let me get rid of some of these. I hate having a lot of shit on my chart like this, but I know it when you're just sort of starting out, it really helps to see these things. So here is one of those. And when you have a gap like this, a volume imbalance followed by the imbalance in price, you want to keep connect them. All right. So we're not going to distinguish between the two. It's just going to be one big BISSY. All right. From the closing of this candle to the low of this one. All right. Right about there. Okay. So you can't rule out a retracement down into this level. Again, we'd like to see it stay in the upper half if we're going to remain bullish, just like we want to see it stay in the upper half here. Now it can come back down here. It doesn't mean it's not going to go higher, and it doesn't mean it's guaranteed to go lower. But these are the key levels that you're going to be watching. And notice how we have it's one of our quadrants is right in the middle, in the upper half of this fair value gap here. Okay. So you'd want to see that support price as well. But I'm not even sure if we're going to, I expect it to kind of chop around in here and then go for these highs. That is what I'm anticipating. So my next low hanging fruit target would be like right about here. That's the high I'm looking at. All right. So that's where the buy side is. And really, I mean, if it's going to go there, it's going to go here, in my humble opinion. Okay. 6,899.75 is the high of that. 7,000. No, or 6,900. Yes, it is. Okay. So 6,900 point, whatever the high of this, 0.5. Okay. I didn't quite draw that in right. All right. Let's get, see, that could cost you. That could cost you money. All right. There it is. There's our buy side target in the short term. Like I said, that doesn't mean it can't retrace. What would I need to see for it to go, for me to turn bearish on these markets? I'd have to see a very strong move down. And I just don't, I don't think we're going to see these levels again anytime soon. I really don't. I don't see a reason for them. What would be the reason for them to take it lower at this point? Why would they? If we're operating under the assumption that this shit is rigged and that algorithms are booking price, and the way they book, they go from key levels, previous day highs and lows, to inefficiencies, discounts to premiums. What's down here that they already haven't taken care of? Why would they need to take it down here? They've already made their money on the way up. They made some money on the way down. They've taken out anybody that was long the market. They just got stopped out last Friday. First thing. Like I said, now they're free to take it higher. I don't see a reason for it to come back down below these levels. Like I said, I've been wrong before. Certainly is a possibility, but I don't see a reason for them to do it. And for me to change my bias, my long-term bias, I'd have to see something like, you'd want to see some very strong moves to the downside with displacement and an unwillingness to go higher, and kind of ripping through these key levels, and just showing no willingness to go higher, no strength higher, something like that. You'd have to watch it, but I don't see a big reason for them to take it unless they're just trying to clean up some of these imbalances here, which is entirely possible. I wouldn't expect price to come much lower than about here, 66.22. And at that, it would probably be like a wick thing. It would wick down here, and then it would immediately reverse higher if they're just coming down here to address some of the imbalances. Now, if they start painting bodies of candles over this one, closes this in with like something like that, okay, now we're looking for lower prices. Puts a big fat red candle over this midpoint, closes below it. All right, now we're changing our mindset, and we're trying to look for levels that it might be drawn to down here. But like I said, I think it's done all its work down here, and it's got some unfinished business up here with these relative equal highs. So anybody that was short the market up here, where like they are thinking that this is sort of resistance, right? Came up here. This is the high, came up, failed, came up, failed, came up, failed. So we've got these relative equal highs here, and they're thinking that their stops are protected. Now they're probably starting to get pretty nervous if they didn't roll their stops lower here. If they did, they got taken out last week or today or yesterday. But yeah, now that we're in this zone here, we're watching price action. We're going to grade this zone. Let's just go in here and watch. Let's see how price reacted around these levels. And maybe here's the 5 minute. Okay. I mean, come on. What is that? Why did this 5 minute candle stop right there and take off? You see how that's acting as support? Yeah, you dip below it here. When was that? 7 o'clock in the morning. This is pre-market. You know, we can also, this is electronic trading hours. You need to switch between electronic and regular trading hours too. So you'll see like a gap in here because the market wasn't actually open. The New York markets, right? So here's another little thing I'll show you. So the closing price, you get these gaps as well, and the opening price between day. This is the closing price on Tuesday, and this is the opening price this morning. One of the reasons, oh yeah, here's where I drew it in wrong again. See? That's where it stopped one little tick short of my that candle right there. That's when I got within one little conter of my target, and then it immediately came back on me. So that was not fun to sit through. I was rolling my stop, so it was a profitable trade. It just wasn't as profitable as it should have been because it missed my target by like a little one tick. So anyway, if you'll notice, we came down here. This gap in price here, that, like I said, this is the closing price Tuesday, opening price Wednesday. There's like about a 70% chance that it will trade to the midpoint of these gaps from regular trading hours to electronic trading hours. That's what I just switched to. If you're having trouble following, you anticipate, and that's why I was trailing my stop pretty tightly, because I knew that was kind of a little bit of a head fake there, but it was just I thought it was an easy grab. So I went for it, but I was also waiting for that. It's like, ooh, there's a good chance it's going to come in and fill in this gap here. But you can see it didn't get there, and it stopped right at the bottom of that zone. And that's when I knew we were going, that's when I knew that the low for the day was in, essentially. And I was like, okay, we failed to get to the midpoint. We stayed with it. We rejected right off of that level. If you go down to a 1 minute, this is what it looks like. Okay. And I did try to short this too after it came up. Yeah, look at that. That's how I drew it in before. I think it's at 0.75. Yeah, 823.75, and I had my thing at wait, yeah, yeah, at 824 or something. Yeah, I missed it by a tick. So I did try to short this, and I was, again, this is why I had a really frustrating morning, because I had two really nice trades. I had this one, and then I got short, and this ran quickly without me. There was really no entry for me here based on my rules. This is a breakaway gap right here, and it was never going to come back up there before it did its business down here. Uh-oh. What the hell just happened? Why did I lose everything? Oh, that was weird. Okay, we're back. So I got short. I think I got short in here. I think I used this as inversion right at this key level, right at this 0.75, this orange line here, if you can see that. I got short in here, and I was targeting the midpoint of that gap. And as you can see, it stopped 2 points above it and immediately reversed. And I was like, oh, all right, it's not going to give it to me. We're back to going long. So let's go back to the regular trading hours. And you can see this is algorithmic. And here we are. Here it is again. Right to that level. Right to that level. Look how these levels support price. All right. This was not fun to trade through. Yeah, I traded through this a little bit. This one, I took an L. I took an L here. Yeah, right in here. I got me. So we had these relative equal highs right there. Okay. Here, here, here. Relatively equal. This one lower than the one to the left of it. So everything I want to see, right? And then we had this big sweep down. Did we get to the midpoint? No. Did we take out all of these relative equal lows here? Yes, we did. Even this one. All right, so I was like, oh, they just swept the lows, and then we got this reversal. We put in a swing high here. We took that out. We left these. This was my entry, right? I did it right at this key level, right at that red line. That's the upper quadrant of this whole orange zone here. So I got long right here, and we came up, and we didn't take out we came right to it, and it started to come back on me. My stop was right here. And I'm thinking, initially, like, this move was very long in the tooth, right? We were already, I shouldn't have even taken a trade. Remember when I said you don't want to go long at premiums. I broke my own fucking rule. I deserve that loss. We're in the upper quadrant. How much, like, we've come all the way up here. Let's zoom out for a second. Look what we've done. Look what we've done. Ah, shit. I lost it. There we go. Look what we've done over the last 4 days. And I try to go long from here to here. That was just fucking stupid. It just looked so, I was like, oh, I think they're going to go for it again. I think they're going to rip it a little bit high. I thought they were going to just take it one more time up from here to here. That's all I was looking for, but that was stupid. It was at I'm buying at a premium. You shouldn't be doing that. So I deserve that loss. Okay. I made up for it. I'll show you what I did after. So yeah, after it came, it just raked me right over the fucking coals right here. I watched it do this again. And when you see it, like, we have all of these, remember, these are imbalance. There's an imbalance here, right? Right in here. That should be red. Okay. If you zoom in on it, sorry, I'm kind of jumping around on you. I apologize. Probably boring everybody to death if you're still listening. Okay. We had this imbalance, and it was immediately, this is a balanced price range right now, right? We had the sell side delivery, and then we came right back over it. We offered buy side, balanced range. Okay. That is one of my trade setups. Once it does that, and you have some nice juicy targets up here, I get long again. So I got long a little early, I got long in here, right there. And my stop, I was a little uncomfortable because that was a big stop for me. But I had to keep it down here. All right. And then again, we balanced out this price range, and then we took out that high. So I was able to capture, I think I got stopped out up here. Yeah. Once it hit that line, I bumped my stop up to right about here because I choked out the trade. Yeah. I just needed to make back my losses because I didn't want to go into the weekend, the fucking loser. But you shouldn't do that. You should not do that. I overtraded a little bit today. I just happened to be able to make up for some of my earlier mistakes. This right here was another good entry. And if I could have rolled my stop to break even. This one would have clipped me and then run high. And then that would have fucking set me off again. But look, we still didn't get there. It flirted with it so many times. And then this is the end of the day. And it failed again. So that was the high of the day here, right up there. And it left that in place. So I would keep an eye on that level as well for a very short term. Short term, we got these relative equal highs right here. That's way too smooth for them to leave in place. So I'm seeing short term, like that's looking like a pretty nice, juicy play. And then that's on a 1 minute chart. If you zoom out, we've got relative equal highs here and here and here. So this is where my focus is. This is where I think the draw on liquidity is. This is where I think price is going to be like a magnet. It's going to be drawn to it, just like it was drawn to it here on the daily. And there's nothing you can do. Like there's no fighting it. Look at that. It's just straight up right to it. Like somebody was holding a magnet right there. They're still holding it. They're holding it right here at this buy side level. But isn't it interesting how those levels, it keys off of those quadrants. You cannot tell me that that's just buying and selling pressure. That's why I don't use any of those indicators. I think they're meaningless. I really do. I know they work for people. They work for some people. They don't work for me. They overwhelm me. And I don't like seeing all that stuff on the chart. This to me is much cleaner. So how are we doing on time here? Oh man, God, I'm such a long-winded retard. All right. What else do we want to talk about? I mean, NASDAQ, I can jump over to NASDAQ, but the chart looks almost the same. We didn't press up as high into the gap as we did on the S&P. So the S&P's been a little stronger the last few days. Not surprising given the tech, all of the concern, I guess, for the tech bubble, the AI bubble and things like that. There's a lot of shorting going on. So I don't know. Does this make sense to you guys? Is this clearing things up? Is this making, I don't know. Let me know what you think. If you're enjoying this, if I'm boring you to death. I know I'm talking too much probably. But this is, like I said, I think we'll be in here for the rest of the week. Maybe we'll pull back a little bit, pull back into here, given the light trading. Could be some profit taking that drives it down here. But yeah, ultimately over the next, week or so, this is the level I'm looking at. If we look at a weekly, let's look at a weekly chart. Yeah, again, if you trade patterns, that's sort of like a bull flag there. But those patterns will fail if there's unfinished business like they left down here. But yeah, this is just this looks like that's what they're going for to me. And until I see evidence to the contrary, that's sort of what we're operating. That's the bias that we're operating under. We're going to watch how price trades in here. We want to see it stay in the upper half, reject any moves to the downside. We want to see strong reversals up at key levels supporting price. But yeah, it would not surprise me. I mean, that's 4 straight major big up days. It would not surprise me to see some, a red candle in here somewhere. That's to be expected. But yeah, I think we're going higher. I don't know, if it's going to be another quick move higher or just sort of a slow melt up. We'll have to wait and see there. But yeah, the NASDAQ looks about the same. Here's the gap here. We made our way into it. We took out these highs, these two that I mentioned, I think in a Twitter post, that I was looking at this level here. That's 25,362. And then we have these relative equal highs up here. That to me look how smooth that is. They don't like to leave these smooth levels in here. You see how smooth that is? I think they're going to attack that. But look, we didn't make it to the midpoint here. And we closed in the bottom half. So the NASDAQ is lagging a little bit. It's not as strong. But that could mean, that the S&P is just going to be going much higher in the short term than the NASDAQ will, relatively speaking. But I still, everything I'm seeing in here, we balance this price range. I don't see a reason for them to take it any lower. I think you'll start to see it working to the upper half of this zone, and then they'll use that as inversion to take out these highs. Again, we'll see if this theory plays out. But those highs right there, we'll have to wait and see if I can go 2 for 2. Well, 3 for, I don't know how many I got these. All right. Well, let's look at, like, again, the exact same analysis holds for the NASDAQ as the S&P 500. Yeah, there's really not much else to say. I mean, you can look for inefficiencies and things. This was me. Remember when I was like, okay, if we start to see some resistance here, this is sort of our first line of defense if we're going back lower. And we traded up to it, and then we traded right through, blew right through it, put a big fat green candle over it. You see that? Does it look like this is supporting price? Absolutely not. So that was an indication that I was on the right track and that we were headed higher as well. That was a nice little validation when we painted right over that. Did we take out the high here? I don't think we did. Maybe we did. The high is 988, 993. Yeah, 993, 988. Yeah, took it out here, closed almost above it. Yeah, very clear indication. If you don't see this support price, chances are it's going to go higher. Pretty simple stuff. You don't need any of those fancy indicators. You don't need signal services or anything like that. You just need to train your eye and kind of know what to look for. Let's go over to gold. Here we are in gold. And if you remember, none of this stuff existed when we were talking about it. We had just put in this swing high. And I pointed out that we were kind of stuck between these two zones right here. I think I had that one coded as a SIBI, but I think it was, I don't know if I had it turned to inversion. We've inverted it. Okay. So now you're going to look, right? And I was saying, okay, we're kind of at a wait and see thing, but ultimately we're leaning bullish because the bodies were respecting the upper half of this zone. See that? Yes, we wick down. We wick down a little bit. The wicks can do some damage, but the bodies will tell you the stories. The bodies were respecting that midpoint, and then we got a really strong move. Can you hear that fucking guy outside? Jesus Christ. Jesus fucking Christ, is he bad? Like, some of the worst musicians on the face of the earth are on this goddamn beach. I don't know what they're thinking. Where are their friends and family to tell them that they suck? Jesus Christ. Oh my God. I don't know if you can hear that. That's okay. I'm going to have to wrap it up because I got to get out. I cannot. He's just some guy whining into a microphone. Well, that's also me, but I'm not trying to make music. All right. Okay, so we took out this swing high, right? We took it out right there. We took it out with a big beefy green candle closed above the midpoint of this gap. So once again, our bullish indicators were proven correct. Once you take out this swing high here, you immediately shift. I don't care who you are. This is a change in the state of delivery. You took that out, you closed above it. You have to be thinking higher prices. You have to. Okay. Next day, I mean, again, I had these levels drawn out in advance. So, but okay, and I didn't draw it in perfectly, right? Let's draw it in, like, just so you can see the precision here. Okay. I just want you to see what I'm fucking talking about, because there's no goddamn way that this is just buying and selling pressure. Here's the wick. Here's Tuesday. Tuesday's trading day. So right after this big run up, okay, we opened basically right where we closed the previous day, and it starts moving down. Let's grade it too. Let's do this. Let's see what happens when we throw our quadrants on there. Oh, God damn it. I know you can kind of, there we go. All right. That's good enough. Look where this wick stops. Look where it stops. Oh, I still didn't draw it in right. There. Look, I can zoom in. Now I've drawn it in correctly. It's right there. It stops right at the bottom of that zone that I just happened to draw on. That, like, no, this is the high of this wick is 4,109.72. The low here, what was that? 4,109.72. The low 4,109.72. To the fucking tick. That is precision. That is what we're fucking talking about. That is not, I'm sorry, dude. That is just not buying and selling pressure. Why would it stop right there? Why would it respect? What was it doing? All of a sudden, everybody just started buying right there and sent it higher. And look, we closed above the midpoint. If we drill down, we can go to a 5-minute. Almost to the fucking tick of that zone. And look what we have right below it. Look at this. Here's a big inefficiency. Here's a big BISI, big right here. One of those buy side imbalances, sell side infit. Look, it just comes down, kisses it, stays, just wicks past one little tick past that zone, and then immediately reverses. God, that guy's so bad at singing. Holy shit. I gotta get out of here. But that, again, dude, look at how price respects these levels. We can go down to a 1 minute. It's gonna look a little busier, but you'll really see, yeah, just immediately those levels are supporting, almost like steps on the way up, right? Okay, so if we go back to our daily, it's looking like that was all of this stuff in here, all this back and forth with these wicks here. That's accumulation. They're accumulating long positions, right? This is smart money accumulating positions here to go long. And we took out this zone definitively. Look, we closed above it today, crushed it. We do have a volume imbalance right here. And we traded to that overnight. I don't think we got back to it during the day, during New York. But okay, we traded to that and then came back down. But we are now above, we inverted this gap. And you can see how it kind of used it as a springboard to send it higher. We could come down again, as long as it stays in the upper half of this, that's supporting price as far as I'm concerned. And we have another swing high here. So in the immediate short term, this is sort of the level that we're watching right there, 4,245. We want to see it take that out. Once it takes that out, then we're looking at these relative equal highs right here. See that? See what left behind there? And we have a bigger imbalance right here, a bigger zone that we've already traded to once before, and that sort of sent us down. That should be a SIBI for the time being. We're starting to work our way into that. All right. Now, once we get into the upper half, we're going to look for it to support price, just like we're doing with all. Are you guys catching on to how we're doing this? Right. We're looking for these sort of inefficiencies, and we want to see it work its way through. And we have relative equal highs sort of above it, relative equal highs up here. Ultimately, I think we're going higher. Fundamentally, it makes sense, but technically, it makes sense as well. But like I said, we are, again, this was sort of a short term, like an intermediary point of interest. We are still kind of caught between these two zones. There's a sell zone, there's a buy zone. So, and we have had a big run up in the price of gold. So it could just chop around in between these two zones for a while. Boom, boom, just, ping ponging back and forth. And that can be very frustrating for gold bugs. And I mean, it can do that for a very long time. Look at it, did it here. Did it here for a couple of years. I'm on a daily chart. Here for a couple of years, right? Just sort of ping ponging back and forth. I bet you if I go back there, there's probably something like this that we're looking at it trying to work its way through. But yeah, we'll have to, again, we're targeting these highs here, top of this zone. But yeah, it would not surprise me if it just sort of chops around for a while. When you have a big move like this, I mean, look at this move. Look at this move up this year. That's just since fucking August. Boom. Right? You tend to get a lot of sideways chop for a while. So that's where we are with gold. How am I doing on time? An hour. Okay. Guess it takes me an hour to get through this shit. Bitcoin back at 90,000. All right. I didn't look at Bitcoin last couple of days. Let's have a look. See. So this was remember, this is the zone that we wanted to see support price, and then the one below it. So we've cut through that. We're gonna anticipate it being used as inversion. We'd like to see it if it's going to send us lower. We want to see it being used as inversion. But look what we have here. We just closed above the midpoint of this one. So we might be reclaiming this as a BISI. Could be. This certainly does look like a telltale reversal. We wicked down, got a long wick here, and immediately rebalanced. We had this, if I get rid of that here, look what we have. We had this area here, right? And we would have wanted to see that act as resistance, and it didn't resist anything. Cut right through it, closed, traded to the midpoint here, closed above it here. Okay. And then we took it out completely, closed definitively today. That was just today. Yeah, I didn't pay attention to Bitcoin today, but had a nice day. About 3,000. So that's a big time move. Now, again, here is the nearest up close candle. So we're going to be watching how it trades through here. If that doesn't support price and this one doesn't support price, maybe that retracement is over and we're going higher. We do have we got relative equal highs here. It just doesn't look. Yeah. I mean, to me, it just doesn't look like that's in the cards right now. You could see, I mean, you could see it get back up to 100,000. There's a lot of, there's a big order block here. Like, there's an inefficiency here that it could trade to before going lower. I still think it's got unfinished business. So we'll have to wait and see. But I mean, in the immediate short term, this is, we took out a swing high here. We took it out definitively. This looks good for a move higher. A very, like, again, when I say short term, I'm talking like, yeah, a day or two. But yeah, the body's sort of, let's see. Did that zones? No, it didn't support it. Not quite with the bodies there over here, but yeah, didn't take out these lows. Sort of, I bet you it was kind of the midpoint of this consolidation here. Let's see. How does he do it? How does he do it? I guess I just drew that in randomly, right? Midpoint, supported it. Nice rejection. You want to draw some quadrants in there. All right. You get the idea. But yeah, so this is sort of a, I think somebody actually might have pointed this out in the Facebook group. They kind of drew a crude, we call this a market maker model. All right, you get accumulation here. And then you get the two-stage distribution of the price, right? And now we're on the other side of it, and it sort of makes this art. Like, here, I'll draw it. Dun, dun, dun. We'll have to go over that on another day. Can I do it like this? How does this one work? Yeah, like that. See that? Yeah, I just, to me, it, look, we already ran these highs. There's not really any low hang. There's not like a target. There's nothing that's jumping out at my eye. Again, we kind of had the scenario that we had last week on the NASDAQ and the S&P, where this high is higher than that one. That's a lower probability raid. Just is. I don't know why. All right. Here, again, this swing high here is sort of, if we take that out, I would go and I would start looking towards these highs to new all-time highs. But yeah, I'd have to see something. I'd have to see another couple of nice moves here to the upside. I'd want to see these green candles here violated. Until then, I'm still looking like, yeah, we're going to attack. And we do have kind of relative equal lows. I mean, for Bitcoin, 80,000 and 75,000 are relatively equal, like the way this fucking shit moves. So to me, it just doesn't look like it's going for new highs yet. Okay. And if you do trade like this, could be putting in a head and shoulders pattern here. Here's a shoulder, here's a head, here's another, you know, it'll trade around here, bump up against 100,000 a couple times maybe or something like that, and then go lower. So that's kind of where I think what Bitcoin's, yeah, you're seeing a good indication it wants to go higher here in the short term. I don't know if over the longer short term, if that makes any sense, that it's headed towards new highs yet. I don't see it. I think it needs to take out these lows first. And it could just be putting in some new relative equal lows here for it to take out before running it higher. But yeah, I don't trade Bitcoin except in the demo account at our Friday night happy hours. So we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see if that pans out. But that's where we're at right now. Hour and 10 minutes. I got to wrap up. But yeah, I don't think this view is in, like, I don't know. It's kind of distracting me. I'd rather be at my desk. I'd rather be at the desk, even though, yeah, you got to see the sky for 10 minutes. Great. But yeah, that's the business, ladies and gentlemen. It was a good week. Gold did what we thought it was going to do, right on schedule. That was nice to see. We're going to have to see, like I said, if it can work through this and invert this. We want to see it turn this one orange. Let's do it anyway, for good luck. But yeah, you want to start to see it work its way through this and into the upper half. We spent a lot of time on these guys. Like I said, that's what we're looking at. 6,900 on the S&P. Probably, yeah, 25,845, some 843, something like that on the NASDAQ futures. And gold, yeah, over 4,200, 42, 45, something like that. Those are our short-term targets. But yeah, gold, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. It's going to be a boring couple of days. So I'll be back next week. Well, maybe we'll see something over the next couple of days and on Sunday that can give us a better indication of where things want to go. But right now, I think we should be pretty satisfied with that. That was a nice little run right there that we were anticipating. It did exactly what we thought it was going to do, exactly when we thought we were going to do it. So, yeah, expect a little bit of consolidation here while we get ready for the next move. And until then, you guys know what to do. Just keep on peddling that so-called fiction. Peace.